Micro-refuges are places like shade or burrows that can provide protection for feral cats from extreme conditions like high temperatures. So feral cats are found across really wide areas across Australia, including some really hot, dry parts of arid Australia. They're pretty tough creatures, so for example, they don't need to drink water, they can get water from their prey. But actually our research has shown that they rely on having access to these micro-refuges to protect them against extreme conditions. And without this, they may not be able to survive in large parts of inland Australia. So we were lucky to work with Hugh McGregor out at Arid Recovery in South Australia, as well as David Rochier and Andrew Carter from the Australian Wildlife Conservancy up at their sanctuary in Scotia in New South Wales. So they were putting some tracking GPS collars on cats in the semi-arid zone, which were also able to record temperatures and humidity. So from the data that we got from these collars, we found out that during hot weather, the cats were sheltering down rabbit burrows and also using fox burrows, hiding under piles of logs as well as under spinifex. Actually, it makes sense that the cats are going down these during hot weather because they stay really nice and cool. During really hot days, so when temperatures were over 40 degrees at Scotia, temperatures down burrows could be up to 19 degrees cooler. To understand more about why feral cats are using these micro-refuges, we built an ecophysiological model. So you can see in the blue, we have areas where feral cats could survive so long as they had access to shade during some hot weather. The areas in green, there are certain times of the year where the weather's hotter, where feral cats would need access to shallow burrows to provide some protection. Then we have areas in yellow. So these areas are more extreme, and to be able to persist in these areas, we predict that feral cats would need access to deep burrows. Then we have some areas which are coloured in red. So these are areas where we predict that for at least 1 week of the year, feral cats wouldn't be able to meet their water requirements, so are unlikely to be able to survive in these areas. So these areas could be really important to threatened species that are impacted by feral cats. So for example, if we look at where these red areas are, they overlap quite closely with distribution records for the kowari, which is a threatened carnivorous marsupial. So controlling feral cats across the wide areas throughout Australia is really challenging. So it can be really useful to identify areas that are kind of naturally free of feral cats, because we think that these are areas that are likely to be important to some of the threatened species that they feed on. Better understanding of what feral cats require in these environments to survive can help improve management more broadly. So as well as using burrows, we found that feral cats were hiding under kind of piles of sticks and sand that were made while managers were creating tracks through different areas. And so changing the way that we do this could be a really simple way to reduce the access that feral cats have to these micro-refuges that they need.